Hi all, we've just come out of the Fashion East Spring Summer 20 presentation. I'll show you the little invite, lovely. It's always quite a nice arty scene. 3 designers to talk through, so I'm going to be whip it fast getting through them. First up was Saul Nash, and so we have dance performers in the space as we're coming in. Everyone's kind of talking and looking around and then spotting these amazing performers on the floor. The reason for this is because Saul Nash is actually dance trained, so he is a performer first and foremost and a designer slightly second. All the dancers are friends and acquaintances that were cast, and the entire choreography of the piece once this show had started was all Saul. He'd choreographed the entire thing, which is really incredible and beautiful. The clothes themselves are very sportswear influenced, and obviously they would be because they're designed with dancers in mind, they're designed with motion in mind. So it's a real testament to the garments, because these guys are really twisting and turning and kind of fake punching each other, and there's lots of motion. They're really being put through their paces, and really cleverly Saul's got lots of exposed zips or slight mesh undertones, which you only see as models or dancers gyrate or twist, which I think is really brilliant. I will say there's a slight risk of a COTTWEILER overlap, just because I know COTTWEILER work with a lot of dancers, they dress a lot of dancers, and that contrast piping that Saul uses on kind of beige versus black and black versus cream is something that COTTWEILER does, and it's almost a signature. I'm not saying it's a copycat situation, I'm just saying it's something to flag for future, but I'm really excited to see where it goes. I really like the sleeves. There was a kind of sleeves that hooked around over the arms, really dance school drama, and I like that elegance mixed in with the what could be perceived as really masculine sportswear garments. So I like that duality of the look. So I'm really excited to see Saul Nash, and I think it's a brilliant way to intro yourself into the fashion scene. He did do a presentation last season, but the Fashion East show is chock-a-block with press and influencers, and what a debut to have an amazing dance performance. So I was really impressed with that starting point. Then we're on to Robyn Lynch. And this collection was brilliant. I thought it was absolutely spectacular. I was really unsure last season about Robyn's progression, and well, not progression, but just when you take Robyn's clothes at face value, sometimes I worry that, myself included previously, that you would think, oh, it's just a pair of shorts and a t-shirt and oh, blah blah blah, plain and simple. But actually there's so much more to what Robyn's showing, and I was instantly enamored with this collection. So it was influenced by kind of holiday centres that Brits go to. Rather than going abroad, you kind of go to Butlins-on-Sea, or you might go to a nice seaside town, and you might camp, you might stay in a cheapy kind of hotel. The pool's probably got leaves and dead frogs at the bottom of it, and there's something a little bit camp, a little bit funny about these 80s holiday sites. And so there's all these textures that are in Robyn's collection that are reflective of that. So really velour-y, fleecy jackets, and the new logo, which I can show you on the press release here, kind of mimics the Irish version of Butlins, which I've totally forgotten the name of, sorry Robyn. But what I really loved was the tone element. Robyn only designs in block colours, and this collection was tonal. So rather than being all block one colour, she'd added different shades, which I really thought was brilliant and really elevated the collection a step up. I loved the dual shorts with the drawstring, the textures, the Dr Martens sandals, and her new collaboration with the sunglasses, which is with someone Kent, TW Kent, I believe. And so I just thought that was really brilliant. I love the introduction of tonal. I thought it was a brilliant progression, and the textures for me were really, really important. What Robyn does really well is, because she's not focusing on colour, she can focus on the cut and the mixture of knits with what would be a parka with a stripe of a different texture. Almost Frankenstein, but not really. It was on the cusp of bad taste, but not bad taste as in chintzy, just bad taste as in so familiar you're kind of weirded out by it, but I mean that in the best possible way. And then on to Mowalola, who gets the crowds screeching and screaming with excitement. Last season I was a little bit hit and miss with Moa's presentation, and this season I feel like I've kind of swallowed my words a little bit. There was sex appeal. It was all about when you fall in love and the negatives of that. You can't have the good without the bad, and how love can be like torturous and painful, and it feels like you've been shot by a bullet, and how when you're watching movies, it's this odd portrayal of love, a really unhealthy portrayal of love, and you're swept off your feet and whatever, but ultimately someone probably ends up getting murdered or shot. And so there were really lovely references to these Hollywood dramatic moments, like kind of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, bullet holes and blood dripping, kind of really eerie red eyes and creepy fringes, but it was all that slightly, I'm going to say tacky, but I don't mean that in a bad way, slightly tacky, gauche version of, not Halloween-y, but that really fun Americana horror, which I really liked. I do think there was a little bit of a fitting issue on some of the garments. I love that it's predominantly leather. I think that's her absolute strong suit, and the painted leather was brilliant, and again with the creepy faces that matched this theme, that was really strong. And then the boots and shoes were back again this season, and I thought they worked really well. But I think on some of the women's wear, it says in the press release that it's his and hers and hers, his and his and his, and that these garments are supposed to be interchangeable. But I think when you're doing that, you really need to think about the fit and how you're cutting the garment, and a lot of the items were triangular, they were going into trousers, and on the women they were gaping, and on the men it suited, but on the women it didn't quite work. And then some of the dresses I would have liked to see on slightly more male forms, but actually there was kind of boobs popping out, and I can't tell if it was on purpose or not, because in the finale when the girl who had her breasts out, they were like firmly covered in the dress. So I initially thought, oh wow, it's just a provocative element to the show, but then in the finale she was covered up, so I wasn't quite sure. But a little bit of a fitting issue, predominantly from the waist up, but trousers, coats, everything else is divine. I thought the leathers were brilliant, and the absolute standouts for me were the halter neck, really low back leather dresses, one in maroon and one in white with a bullet hole and a little bit of blood. I thought those were absolutely brilliant, so I'm really, really excited to see where Moa goes, but it just needs a little bit of fine tuning, I think, and I appreciate that leather's a slightly more difficult material to fit to both stereotypical gendered forms, but yeah, it just needs a little bit of fine tuning. But I'm really, really excited by this fashion show. I thought it was really good.
Super strong show. I mean, I think I was trying to think of a through line for all three, and I've kind of landed on the idea of authenticity. And with Saul, I think there's a real authenticity and movement. We've gone into a post-sportswear fashion week, and you know, everyone's kind of trying to move on from that seismic 5 years, and it almost became a play on itself when people would do a million pulls and a million zips and all of that. And actually what Saul does is completely legitimate because it's made for a movement and it's made for a dance. And realistically this is more activewear than sportswear, which is why I think it won't ever step on COTTWEILER's toes. That's because true. They're made to wear but not made to necessarily move in, apart from some of them. A few of them were, like when they do special dance collaborations, but the collections we see are made to wear to a club or out and about, whereas what Saul is doing is taking his information as a dancer and a choreographer and using that to inform how a garment should move in movement. So it's all about the activity within it. And I think that intent in design separates them massively. Robyn's authenticity is reasonably obvious through being Irish and her referencing. She was saying she was, you know, asking people's Facebook groups that were reconnecting after 30 years of going on summer camp together and trawling through their photos and taking that as an inspiration. It's an insular looking perspective that actually seems to reach so many more people than what she's referencing, which I think is funny. You know, love is probably one of the most authentic feelings you can feel, and Moa demonstrated that really beautifully. And you know, the faces were, I think, of her partner, and they were distorted, and that creative relationship, you know, if my partner wanted to make horrible, you know, fuck up my face and put it on a coat, I wouldn't let him. So to have that open relationship where, you know, you're both letting each other create things, and then having that on the runway and that pure feeling of love from all of her fans, all of her friends, I don't know, it felt like the most authentic thing, all three of them, that I've seen in so long.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting word to use, for sure. I think also there's something about Fashionista where it's so much of the personality just laid out on the runway.
Yeah, but it's a school, it's your graduation after a MA, really, you know, and it's super exciting to see these people grow. And you know, Fashionistas have so many ticks by their names. You look into the upper echelons in Paris and the people that we're getting excited about in London today, like Stefan, who's just left. They have such a roster of talent that, you know, you're never going to be disappointed by a fashionista show, but these guys together, I thought, brought up so many intricacies of modern living that it was almost kind of too much. You know, it was very powerful as a trio, kind of.
Yeah, I think
musing.
as a trio they really complement each other, and often that sometimes can clash in fashionista, where because they are so close together, so they often influence your opinion overall.
Yeah.
And the like kind of overall visual package of the fashionista show can really be affected by that trio of like that selected trio. And I think these three, there's no overlap, there's no contrast, everyone has their real standpoint, and I think that's probably why we were a bit smitten with their authenticity, because they're all three so unique.
Yeah, for sure.
So unique.
It's a brilliant show.
Brilliant show. Thank you guys so much for watching our fashionista review, and please do subscribe, lots more to come, and please visit Show Studio if you want to see all the 3 brilliant brands we've just been talking about, and we'll see you very soon.